In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can make a logo. Feel free to get some information from this or come up with your own design, but here goes. So I have this image of this lady here that I downloaded from the internet. And what I did is I already cut her out. So if I just turn the eye off that bottom layer, you can see that I cropped her out. I used the pen tool, which you will already know how to do in the previous tutorial. But I just wanted to keep this background because I am going to keep some aspects of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a circle. I am actually first going to go over to my eyedropper tool, and the eyedropper tool will pick out a color from wherever you click. So if I click the sky, if I click the grass, you can see that it's changing over on the side here. So I actually want to grab a value from this ground. I'm going to double click, and once I have it picked here, I can now say I want it like this, but I actually want it a little bit darker. And as I'm clicking, here's the original color pick, and here's the new value that I want to work with. So when I'm happy, I hit OK. Now I'm going to draw a circle. If I hold Shift, it'll be a perfect circle. If I don't hold Shift, then it's actually going to be more of an oval shape. So let me show you that. So maybe you want an oval, maybe you want a circle. Scale it down, make sure you're clicked on this layer, hit Control T, you get your transform box, hold Shift, and you can pull from any of the four corners when you're holding Shift. If you pull in from any of the center points, it will actually skew it and make it an oval. So I'm just trying to find the size that I would like to work with. I want a little bit of her body showing. So here I am happy. I'm just going to hit enter. What I also want to do is I want to use this circle as a mask. So I'm going to duplicate this layer. And that's going to come in for a different reason. But right now I have a path. If I go over to my paths, you will see that there is a path. If I hit my selection tool and then I go over to the bottom image here, I can click onto this third one over, which is a mask. If I click on it, it actually has erased everything else that wasn't in that selection. So if I turn off the circle, you can see that it masked out the rest of the background image. So I did want to keep part of the image itself. And then what I want to do now is I'm actually changed my mind. I'm not going to use the double. Here is my circle. I'm going to drag it on the layer below. I'm going to scale it. I'm going to make it a little bit larger. I can have it off-centered if I want to. I can use my little arrow keys and center it up. If you want to have it perfectly centered, you can play with your alignments up at the top if you had them both selected. But I actually want mine to be slightly off-centered. Okay, so it's coming along. I'm pretty happy with it so far. The next thing that I want to do is I want to add some blending options. So right now you see that I have a transparent background. When I'm working with blending options, I like to put on a solid fill background. Whether I keep it or not, I'll decide later. Background. And I'm going to put a white solid fill. So right now, if I were to paint anything, it's going to be this peachy pink color. So I'm going to hit my double arrows and I moved my white forward. If you needed to change it, you would just come up to here, find the white in the corner and hit OK. Holding down your gradient, you'll get a flyout with a paint bucket. All you do is you click inside here and now I have a white background. I'm going to put my blending options on the circle. And if I right click or control click, I get a blending options box. If your blending option box comes in the center here, move it over to the side so you can see what you're doing. You don't want to just click on the checkbox on the side. You want to click on the word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the word drop shadow, and then I get all my options. If I want to have it really dark and bold, I can go to normal. I can change my opacity up to 100%. This is the angle of the view. I can change my distance. I can change my spread. So you can see that it is going a little larger there. And here's the size. And then if I say, well, you know, that's a little bit too dark, maybe I want to stay within that same family. If I move my hand over top of the image, you'll see that the eyedropper comes in. And I can actually work with the colors that are here. Maybe I want to go a little bit darker so there is some depth to it. And I can hit OK. I can decide, oh, I don't really want to do a drop shadow. Maybe I want to do another stroke. So a stroke is just that kind of outline. Maybe I'm going to put it as white. I'm going to change my size up a bit. And then what I'm going to do is an outer glow. I'm going to change my color pick to a nice dark tone. And from screen, which would be very light, I'm going to move it up to normal. Change my opacity to 100%. Move up the spread and the size. And I'm liking the way that this is looking, but I think I'm going to change the color a bit. I'm going to go, maybe I'm going to color pick inside of her stripe there. And then my stroke I find is just a little bit too much, so maybe I'm going to bring this down. Okay. So once I'm happy, I hit OK. If you want to see what things look like without it, I can just turn off the eye on stroke, turn it back on. I can go to the outer glow, turn that back on. If you want to see what it looks like without your effects, you can turn that off and then back on. So here I have it. When I'm looking at it, I think, hey, you know what? I don't really like this color of my stroke. So I'm going to double click on the stroke and it brings me back to my box. I click on the word and here is my color swatch. So maybe I'm going to say, wonder what it would look like if it was blue and a darker blue value. And then I think, no, that's not really the look I'm going for. Let's go back to these same color family tones. And that's not working for me either. So I'm just going to hit OK. And let's say that I want to change my actual circle. So I'm going to go down to my circle. Once I'm on the tool here, my toolbar comes up at the top and I can actually change it from up here if it is a swatch. To the darker value. I can eyedrop it. So you have a lot of different options. You can play around with it. For now, I'm just going to kind of go back to where I was before. Okay. So here we have this part of it. Now, what we're going to do, actually what I want to show you is another thing, is if you decided that you wanted to go with something before, you have this little history. You can click on the little boxes before, and you can actually go backtrack step by step to where you were at. So let's just go back to this step. Now what I want to do is I want to show you how we can work with text tools. And for that, this will be another video. So hold on to part 2.